What is your family's deepest, darkest secret? 1. My cousin killed his mother with elder neglect just to inherit her money and to get rid of her as a nuisance and quat. 2. My mom was allegedly adopted in the 70s, but we found out about 5 years ago that my grandparents, who are both dead now, actually just straight up kidnapped her. Like baby snatched her at a park, and her biological parents had been looking for her ever since, although her bio mom died as well before she found out, which is very sad. She died never being reunited with her stolen child. 3. My great-great-grandmother and her sister killed their neighbor in 1916 because he assaulted my great-grandmother. The man was known around town as a predator, so there was never an investigation. The sheriff's deputies just took his body away and the town buried it in an unmarked grave. 4. My father was the most caring man. He really loved his family. One day, when I was 6 years old, I came home with bleeding cuts on my legs from the babysitter's beating. Without warning, he jumps in the car and heads to the babysitter's house. We only had one car, so my mom and me catch a bus to the babysitter's house. By the time we got there, the police were there, the husband was in an ambulance, and some of the living room furniture was thrown out the window. My father had kicked in the front door and beat up the husband. He couldn't get to the wife because she locked herself in a room, so he started throwing furniture out the window. If he would have got to her, he would have killed her. Never knew my father could get so angry. He only spent 2 nights in jail because the police understood. The mother was charged with child abuse. I still have the scars. 5. Jesus Christ, I'm reading through all these truly disgusting stories, and I'm over here thinking about how my mom's no-bake cheesecake, which has been brought to every family gathering for over 25 years and is adored by everyone, is just a recipe that she found on the back of a pre-made graham cracker crust. Yikes. 6. My uncle killed my 2-year-old cousin because he was mad at my granddad. He just grabbed him by his ankles and bashed his head on the ground. Edit. Since a lot of people asked, I asked my mom and apparently his mom went and talked to the prosecutor or judge and somehow kept him out of jail. 7. I was a very sick baby. I spent nearly 2 years in a children's hospital and my dad worked 2 full-time jobs to get 2 separate insurance policies. When they released me, the discharging doctor told my parents he highly recommended a heart and respiratory monitor. We needed my pediatrician to prescribe it though in order for insurance to pay. We were super poor and had no way to finance it alone. My pediatrician advised against it, stating that it wasn't necessary. Meanwhile, the hospital doctor had been calling daily to check on me, and was adamant it was needed. My dad had been lying awake at night with me on his chest to monitor my breathing, and had to do a sternum rub to restart my breathing more than once. Finally, Dad goes back to visit the pediatrician without my mom. He asks the nurse to step out and immediately slams the door and locks it. Picks this doctor up by the throat and coldly told him, "My son needs this, and you're the only thing stopping that. If he dies because he didn't have it, I will come back here and make you suffer. Then my wife will sue your family into the ground and make them suffer and quat." We left that day with a new prescription and a new doctor. 8. My great uncle was a hit man, and during his time in jail, he sent his immediate family a bunch of letters. My grandma still has them, but as far as I know she's the only person alive who's read them. Someday we'll find out what he wrote, but my grandma says she wants to burn them. I don't know if she ever will. 9. My grandma had 2 sisters. One got pregnant while she was in the military, and the other had fertility problems and adopted the baby. Nobody is allowed to tell him, and he still has no idea who his birth mother is, despite the fact that both sisters have died. 10. My great uncle, who was deputy sheriff, single-handedly ran the entire Ku Klux Klan out of my town. That's not the secret though, that was common knowledge. The secret part is that my mother, who was a child at the time, would watch the Klan members parade down the street, recognize their shoes and give names to my great uncle. I never told anybody that until long after she passed away. 11. None of us are allowed to do one of those ancestry DNA tests. 12. My great-grandmother left her husband and children and went to Hollywood to become a star. She changed her name to Veronica Lake and, just kidding. I don't know what name she might have used, or even if she ever made it into any movies at all. The story was that she left her hubby and kids and went to Hollywood, and that's as far as I know. But it was apparently a tremendous scandal back then. 13. When my sister was 14, our 42-year-old neighbor groomed her and convinced her that she should lose her virginity to him. He was married with 4 kids. She had intercourse with him. I, 10 at the time, found out because he, while partying with my parents one night, left a note in a toilet paper roll. I used the bathroom right after him and it fell out when I used the TP. I showed it to my mom and she waited until my dad was at work before she confronted the neighbor. He apologized. She was afraid to tell my dad because she thought he'd killed a man. It eventually came out and no one did anything about it. The neighbor moved away and we never heard anything again. This was around 1994. 14. I had my dad do a DNA test so we could find information about where his family originally came from. I found out that my dad was never faithful to either of his wives. He was stationed in Korea for 1 year. I've been contacted by 12 different people from Korea who did DNA tests and matched to him. I've had 6 people contact me from the areas where I grew up. I know 3 others personally. All in all, my father has 25 kids. I haven't told anyone in my family about the abundance of kids. I also haven't told them how I found out he's not my biological father. 15. There's no Native American blood in my family. Great-great-granddad liked black women. 16. Nearly everyone in my mother's immediate family has cheated on their significant other. What's your take on these? Do you have any stories of your own? Comment below. And remember to subscribe if you've listened this far.